So I was originally born in the Dominican Republic. So I was raised there, and I also was island hopping. I also move a lot. So I lived between Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and so I have been an immigrant throughout various places, starting very early on. So although I had a very strong cultural identity coming from the Dominican Republic, then being in Puerto Rico, when as a kid we moved to New York, it was really a culture shock, coming from an island and family environment where you were able to be free to play. You knew everyone, from being very restricted and kind of locked into an apartment and the cold. So for me, that was difficult. Then going back to the island. So that was kind of my youth of going between Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and then the East Coast. So I was always that new girl. So I was constantly having to not change my identity, but define who I am, because I was always the outsider. So as a youth, it was kind of difficult going from all those different cultures, whereas in Dominican Republic, you're the majority. Then you go to Puerto Rico, you're the immigrant, then the US. So growing up, it always felt like I don't really belong. But as I started going into my 20s, going through college, and really digging my roots, decolonizing what we were taught in school in the Dominican Republic, in Puerto Rico, in the US culture, and kind of going within, I started connecting more with my African and indigenous roots. I also, that occurred through Eastern spirituality, through yoga. Yoga took me back to the original source. So now, in my 20s, then I started shaping my own identity as calling myself Afro Latina, and me defining who I am, versus everyone always trying to fit me into a box of, well, if you're Dominican, you need to behave like this. Well, if right here in the East West Coast, they don't really know what I am, because I don't look Mexican. In the East Coast, they would think, oh, you're Puerto Rican, and I'm like, oh, you're close enough, right? So now I really shape and define who I am, and I'm unapologetic of what's my identity. The positive, like Vanessa mentioned, is since I lived in so many places, I'm able to connect with different people. So my clientele is very diverse. I have white clients, I have indigenous, African American. So I'm in Latino, so I'm able to connect. Even islanders from the Pacific, so they're able to connect with me because I'm also an islander. So now I kind of what I thought was a weakness as a child has now become the strength of being so versed into culture and knowing who I am, that I'm able to connect these different communities with their own identity, and feeling proud. So that's kind of been my journey of kind of being an immigrant and having to, and then going back to the Caribbean and not being enough, because now you have a American accent speaking Spanish. So I think now I'm unapologetically me, and I show up as me. But it's been beneficial because now I'm able to connect with everyone. And ironically, I went to India, and that was the place where they said, oh, you're Indian. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Columbus got confused, but I'm from the other side. So it's been a beautiful journey with identity. I would just say own who you are, but really connect with your roots too, so you can define yourself and nobody gets to define you. So that's been my experience.